Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 5. I can't believe that it's already week 5 already, which means at the end of this week, we're practically a third of the way done with the semester. What? I don't understand how quickly this time has gone by. Anyway, thank you for submitting your interview assignments last night. I'm anxious to read them, and hopefully that the people you interviewed provided you with some really good insights, some interesting perspectives on technology, even technophobias, as we talked about at the very beginning of the semester. I'm really looking forward to reading those, so thanks. All right, let's talk about what we have to do in week 5. This one, we're still in phase 2, and so this time we're talking more about cryogenics, really the idea of, and again, this is maybe not as trippy as the head transplant one, but still slightly uncomfortable. The idea of after death, freezing the body for the possibility of reanimating it. That's what the process is called. Eventually, this kind of falls under the fact of like what's called the Da Vinci paradox, meaning the technology hasn't been developed yet to reanimate the body later. People who participate in cryogenics, who freeze their bodies in hopes of reanimation, are really banking on the fact that this technology will be developed eventually. Now, you may have heard like people like Walt Disney may or may not be frozen. Um, the Cryogenics Association, actually, which is located in Clinton Township, which is I was born and raised in Detroit for a little bit, and then my parents eventually, by the time I was almost in middle school, we moved out to Clinton Township, so it's kind of slightly my hometown, which is interesting. Anyway, so they're based in Clinton Township, Michigan, so which is not too far for thinking about a very huge facility or some sort of interesting location or local location here. Anyway, um, so they're talking about who may or may not be frozen. They actually don't verify that just for confidentiality's sake. But you may have heard those things floating around, so that might be something that's in the back of your head while you're reading and watching some of these topics this week. And so that's where you may have heard this idea before. But again, this is an idea that really is, somewhat controversial. Um, again, just because the technology isn't developed yet to actually, again, reanimate somebody if they decide to participate in this program. There's a very detailed step-by-step procedure that has to occur very quickly upon death if somebody does choose to be cryogenically frozen, which will be detailed in some of the articles. The articles this week are much longer than they have been, which is only why there are 2 of them, which is why I said that a little weird. But a couple questions I want you to think about is, again, what is cryonics or cryogenics? And can we stop the inevitable? Meaning, can we stop the body from aging? Can we continue our life in a different time? These are technologies that people are currently working on. This is not just some sort of small faction of people who are working on it, but this is actually a huge business that people are really interested in prolonging. I wouldn't say prolonging life because they're not trying to extend life itself. We'll talk about life extension later. People like Aubrey de Grey, who we'll mention later, are really interested in this. Even Ray Kurzweil, who we watched a video a couple weeks ago about his development, is very interested in life extension. This is slightly different from that. This is more so thinking about how we can restart life later. So that is something that we'll be taking a look at. Actually, I take that back. We do have an Aubrey de Grey video this week. So you will hear about his roadmap to end aging. I thought it was later in the semester, but it is this week. So you'll be watching that this week. So I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. It should bring up some very curious discussion questions and discussion responses, as well as those content questions too. And remember, as I mentioned last week, I really want you to dig in a little bit more. I haven't read the responses from this week, but I think moving forward, we've read enough so far that it really is important to start introducing more of the course material that we're reading into your responses. I think that's a very important move that we need to start making, and I will be grading accordingly moving forward, really thinking about how you're incorporating some of the text material. A lot of you are doing that already, and that's great. But I want to see more people doing that as well. All right, let's talk a little bit about what else we have to do this week. Again, you have some reading. You have to browse and click around the Cryonics website. Again, that's just to familiarize yourself with that. You don't have to spend a ton of time there, but I do want you to just kind of click around and just see what it's all about. And you have to watch a couple videos as well. This week it is a little heavy on the work. I mean, we do have a lot of reading. The videos are a little bit lengthy. You have a almost 23-minute video and an 18-minute video. The reading itself is again pretty heavy this week too. I think the first one's maybe 35 pages, and the second one, let me see here. Let me flip around. They're all sticking together. Okay, come on. Why can't my pages turn? Oh, I passed it. Anyway, the next one is not nearly that long, maybe 5 or 6 pages. So we have about 40-something pages of reading and about 40 extra minutes of video watching. So it is a little bit heavier. You also do have your synthesis your synthesis essay due at the end of this week on Sunday. So you do have another essay that you have to write. I did give all feedback on all your synthesis essays. Those have been graded and posted. Those were all finished last week. So make sure you're checking back on those to see the feedback that I left for you. Sometimes it's grammar, sometimes it's more pulling out content issues. So just make sure you're reading those and starting to address some of those issues moving forward. Remember, the synthesis essay is not focused on summary. There can be some summary, but I do want you to think about how these conversations weave together. So you might pull something from the head transplant section, you might pull something from the cryonic section, and see like how these have conversations with each other. So that's really what I'm thinking and looking for with these specific assignments. Another thing I do want to mention that's I think the most important thing for this week to give you a heads up on is next week is our very first current events week. So next week is going to run a little differently, but a lot of the onus is going to be on you. I don't have any assigned reading for you. That's just me assigning stuff. There will be reading for you next week. Remember, anybody who is assigned to do current events, and if you have not signed up for a current events week yet, you have to do it next week because all the other dates are booked up already. So if you did not sign up for a current events week at the beginning of the semester, next week is going to be your week. So you really want to pay attention to it. There are no makeup dates. So you really have to be on it. I haven't checked that discussion board in probably a week or so. But at the time when I did check it, there were only maybe 2 or 3 people signed up for next week. So those of you who did not sign up for one, you're stuck with next week and that's it. Anyway, so for those of you who do have next week, remember by Monday, you do have to post both your article link and your video. I will have discussion boards with each person's name. Post your link and your video under your discussion board with your name on it. That way people can kind of differentiate, and I can tell who's posting what. I mean, it's all named anyway, but it's easier for me to focus in. Then, everybody else in the class, those of you who are not posting a video and not posting that link, you are responsible for reading the article that the person posts and the video that they post. The video that they post will be walking you through that article. It'll be a video just kind of like what you're watching right now, a short weekly update. But you are responsible for reading all the links and watching all the videos. And again, if you are not posting or posting anything and you're just watching and reading, you are going to be responding to the question that the person who posted the video and the link asked in that video. So at the very end of each video, each person is going to ask one question. That's the question you're responding to in the current events discussion board next week. We don't have any other questions and answers next week. Next week is just focused specifically on current events. So you really want to take the time and watch the videos and listen for that discussion question. I've asked everybody to put it at the end of their videos, but I would watch, they're short videos, 3 to 4 minutes, but I would watch it because sometimes when we get nervous, we start saying things out of order, as you probably have heard me do. So they might be at the beginning, they might be at the end, they may have mixed it up in a different way. So watch the entire video, please. And then you are responsible for posting a response to that question. Now, the people who have posted the video and the link, you are responsible for responding to everybody in your discussion board. You do not have to participate in the other posts that are there, only yours. So when it's your current event week, you only have to focus on your specific thing. So you are responsible for keeping the conversation going throughout the week, and I'll be checking in to see how that conversation is going. All of this stuff is detailed in the current events assignment, which I talked about a couple weeks ago in a video. And it's also linked in the assignments tab. It's also linked in the files tab. So if you have any questions about how this assignment goes, please, please, please double check that. And also, as always, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer questions along the way. But also, just remember that next week, again, we don't have any reading, extra reading, I should say, not reading that I've assigned, but the reading that your classmates have selected. So that's going to be an interesting thing to look forward to. I think that's all I have for this week. Good luck reading the reading this week. Again, it's a little bit challenging. It's a little bit lengthier than we've been up against before, but I think a good challenge is appropriate at this point in the semester. And let me know if you have any questions. All right, bye. Have a good week.